what's up? It's Meezy and Assad again because everything has to be about him. And today we're going to talk about why I really just don't like security questions and I think we should just get rid of them. Alright, so before I jump into this video, I actually would like to say thank you so much for all the support on my last video. Welcome to the new subscribers that came here from that video. So I don't always post makeup videos, but I do try to have a little bit of fun in between like my code tutorials and my product reviews, and I like to have fun while I do those things. I feel like that's kind of what the tech community is missing on YouTube, so I'm just here to throw my glitter on it. So yes, thank you guys so much. Please continue to subscribe and watch and share, and let's just grow together. Alrighty, so now on to the reason why I'm really not rocking with security questions. I absolutely hate them, and I'm not sure why in 2020 they are still a thing. Alright, so if you don't know what I mean by security question, when you go to sign up for a website and you get to the password part and it's like, okay, you got your password, now let's give you some questions that only you would ever know the answer to. That way if you forget your password, you could just answer one of these questions and we can let you into your account, or we can give you the information to reset your password. Maybe in 1993 that was a good strategy. Maybe in the days before social media, that was a good strategy. But now people share things as small as like what their fart smells like. So like, it's really not, they're kind of no bounds. People love to overshare on the internet. So this information that used to be super personal, like the name of your first dog, the make and model of your first car, is stuff that we share all the time, just like in random memes. People will literally just ask a question on like Twitter or Facebook, and you will have a thread with thousands of comments with everybody giving out answers to these security questions, right? So why are we still doing this? And there are some companies that have moved away from it, but for the most part, this is still a big way of securing your account. So let's say that the security question is, what's the first make and model of your car? The example I used before. So that is a common question I see all over Facebook all the time. People are always sharing their first car, the name of their elementary school, like their third grade teacher. Like, people literally make these posts with security questions on them. And some people are probably being malicious, but I'm sure there's also people who just think it's a fun thing to talk about, like, oh, let's reminisce. But let's just take the car, for example, right? You will always just have one first car. So that is kind of like the one valid security question, minus the fact of how often it's now shared. But you will only ever have one first car. And so that means that's one of those security questions where the answer is never going to change. But that is not the case with many security questions. They love to ask, what was your favorite ex? So like, what's your favorite song? Who's your favorite artist? And the issue with favorites, especially favorite food, that's a big one. I'm not 5, so it's like I eat more than just chicken nuggets and macaroni. My favorite food changes with how my body decides to react to it that day, right? Like, if you were to ask me 3 years ago what my favorite food was, I would have said pretzel sticks. Now I hardly ever even buy pretzel sticks anymore. So a question like that for an account that I set up 3 years ago, I'm like, wait, my favorite food right now, first of all, I don't have a favorite food, but if I had to type one, I guess I would say like drunken noodles or something, I don't know. And so if I was typing that answer in, or like anything that has been my favorite food in the last few years, like I would get that wrong, and then now I'm locked out of my account. I have to contact like the company or whatever, and so it's just a really bad user experience. And so in the case of favorite food, whatever, that's tedious, right? But let's kind of go back to that first car. What if I never had a car? Then what? So that kind of leads me to my next reason why I don't like security questions, and it's because they don't apply to everyone like the people who create them think they do. So the car one is kind of a low-level example, but the ones that I think about the most when I have to fill out these applications and stuff is like the ones about family, like what's your mother's maiden name, what's your paternal grandfather's hair color, what was your mom's first concert? Like, just all these random questions about, you know, your family. And one, there's a lot of people that don't know anything about their family, anything about their lineage. But two, I mean, maybe you do know your family, but you just don't like them like that. Like, maybe you don't want to have to think about your family every time you have to reset your password or something. But why are we using those kind of questions as a way to secure an account? And like, on top of that, if I can go online and find somebody's ancestry, boom, I can get into their account easily. So yeah, those family questions get me every time. I'm just like, what do you want me to say? And once again, you could just go on somebody's social media and find their mom, their dad, cousins. You probably can find way more family than what you need to through somebody's social media. And I've just seen some really wild security questions. Recently, I was trying to reset my bank password, and one of the security questions I had to choose from was, where were you on New Year's Eve of 2000? Girl, I was 5, so I was probably at home. Like, and of course, I could have, you know, chose that and said at home, thinking, oh man, that's great. I was 5 years old. Like, I'm always gonna remember that I was at home. But then, what if, you know, a year or two down the line, I go to answer that security question, I'm like, oh, I was with my parents, or, you know, I was in Texas. Like, there's so many possible answers to that question. Even though you think that there could only be one, you never know how somebody's mind is going to change the older that they get. And so yeah, I mean, where were you is kind of like a physical location, but still, home, Dallas, Texas, the United States. Like, there's so many different answers you could have to that question. And I mean, at the end of the day, there are people that are 5 years younger than me that have bank accounts. They weren't even born. They were like in the womb, or maybe not even thought of yet. So that is like such a bad question. All these questions, the reason I feel like these questions suck so much is because they'll only be perfect to the people that create them. So if you sit, you know, with your security team, or maybe it's just you, or you just know whatever team you have that's creating these questions, and y'all say, okay, what questions do we think that, you know, people would not share about themselves? And I think maybe that's the biggest issue we have right now. A lot of people will share whatever they have to make it online, okay? Like, oversharing is just the culture now. What used to be considered oversharing is just normal now, right? Like, 1 million people on the internet knowing your middle name is no big deal at this point in time. So just can we just leave it? Just leave it. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so I guess my biggest issues with security questions are that they can be very non-inclusive. The answers just can change way too much, even when the people who think them up think that the answer will never change. The answer can definitely change, and maybe I'll just forget, and then they just create a bad user experience, because I've seen so many people complain about how they forget, and then they have to go through this whole other process to get access to their accounts. Alrighty, so here's some things that I wish we could just completely replace security questions with. I wish we would just move straight into two-factor authentication, 2FA. Let's just leave the questions behind, and let's just get this double security going. So some ways that people are already doing this is through like the text message codes. So, you know, you try to log into a site, it's like, we don't know who you are, we're not sure we know who you are, so we're gonna text you a code and you type it in and you're like, cool. Some people also do that with calling. So calling or texting to verify your identity, that's connected to your phone number, which most people's phone numbers don't change as much as their favorite foods do. So that would be a pretty good solution. The next thing is like sending you an email link. Now this one is a little tedious. I'm not sure that I would want to have to go to my email every time I wanted to log into a website, but I think that the kind of website that would use this would be a website where you probably wouldn't log in too much, like your student loan account, or, you know, something like that. I don't know about y'all, but I hardly ever log into that. Whatever happens with that, you know what I'm saying? Student loan debt is not real. And then lastly, let's just go ahead and get these biometrics popping. Y'all already know about us. You're already listening to us every chance that you get, so we might as well just, you know, finish the job and give you retina scans and stuff. I'm totally kidding on the retina scans part, but I would really like a lot more apps and stuff, websites, things like that I access through my phone to let me use Face ID, or they can use Touch ID. Just these security measures that are already on my phone, which belongs to me, which can't be unlocked by anybody else. I wish that we could kind of just move to using that instead of even having to waste time creating passwords. Alrighty, so that is kind of like my whole thing on security questions. What do you guys think? Below in the comments, what is the dumbest security question you've ever seen? Where were you on New Year's 2000 is definitely the dumbest one I've seen so far. No other question sticks out like that. And of course the favorite ones, I absolutely hate those because I just don't have a favorite anything all the time. My only all-time favorite is Beyonce. That's my all-time favorite artist. Well, just gave y'all the answer to a security question, but joke's on you because I would never use that as an answer. Yeah, so let me know, what's the dumbest security question you've ever seen? Make sure you like and subscribe. Let's have a conversation. I'll be here below. Again, thank you all so much for the support, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!